Have you ever experienced deja vu? You're sitting in a pub in Seattle and you order the spinach artichoke dip. It tastes good, but it tastes familiar. And then 6 months later, you order spinach artichoke dip again in Miami, and it tastes similar, eerily similar, almost exactly the same. It's not that the chef in Miami stole from the chef in Seattle. Neither of them used a recipe. They both opened a bag. We like to imagine restaurants as a hub of creativity, a chef sweating over a stock pot for 12 hours, and sometimes that's true, and sometimes it's not. That local joint down the street is just a final stop in an industrialized global supply chain, and it's dominated by just a few titans. You've probably never thought about it, and that's the point. Today, we're diving into the belly of the beast. We're talking about the company that likely supplied all the ingredients for the last meal you just had outside of your home. They are the reason that menus all across America look very similar. We're talking about Sysco. To understand modern restaurants, you need to understand broadline distribution. And to understand that, you have to look at the undisputed king of this, Sysco. They are an absolute behemoth, a Fortune 100 company serving more than $70 billion in annual sales, over 100,000 customer locations. Sysco isn't a farm, it's not really a food producer, it's a logistics company, Amazon Prime of the culinary world. Think about everything it takes to run a restaurant. You need the steak, you need the napkins, you need the bleach for the floors, you need ketchup packets, you need takeout containers, you need a lot of things. You need frozen food, you need high-end truffle oil, you need all these things. And Sysco sells it all from one convenient website. Sysco knows that restaurants don't want 50 vendors. It's a pain in the ass to have to coordinate every 30 minutes. There's some guy knocking on your back door asking to speak to the chef. It's annoying, it's hard to keep track of the finances, but Sysco takes out all the middlemen. They supply everything. Just one truck shows up in the morning when you're doing your prep, gives you everything you need for the day. And that's why Sysco is unrivaled. They provide terrifying efficiency. They have mastered this supply chain. Frozen salmon caught in Norway ends up in a strip mall in Nebraska without killing anyone. It's a logistics miracle. So why is Sysco so dominant? Is it some conspiracy to make all food taste the same? No. The answer is much simpler and sadder. Running a restaurant is a nightmare. Profits are razor thin, 5 to 10% if you're absolutely doing the best you can. And if you're an independent restaurant owner with no backing, you're fighting the war on all fronts. And in recent years, rents are raising, labor costs are rising, and it's incredibly difficult to keep a reliable staff. And if you're the owner, you're the HR department, you're the accountant, you're the plumber, and the line cook. In this situation, do you have time to wake up at 4 a.m. to scour different farmers markets to source heirloom tomatoes for your side salad? No, you don't. And even if you could, you can't afford it. And this is the Sysco hook: consistency and price. When you buy from Sysco, you know exactly what chicken wings will cost this week and next week and the week after that and the week after that. You know, every French fry that comes in a 50-pound box will be the same length, the same color, every single time. And when you're trying to keep a $15 burger on the menu without going bankrupt, that consistency isn't a luxury, it's survival. You need to create repeat customers in order to stay afloat. And they're coming back because they expect this product and they expect it to be the same every single time, which is something you can't do if you're using local artisan ingredients. Every tomato looks different, every potato looks different, every little part of it looks different. We often criticize these restaurants within the industry for selling out, but for many mom and pop shops, Sysco isn't the villain, it's the life raft. It's the reason you can get a decent meal in a small town. Those places don't have access to artisanal coastal supply chains. Okay, so Sysco keeps the lights on. That's the good news. Now for the bad news. What does this reliance on one single food giant do to your plate? A flattening of taste. Everything tastes the same and everything is boring. Sysco sells more than just raw ingredients. They sell entire lines of frozen goods. Pre-made, pre-cooked, heat to serve. In the industry, we call this cooking with scissors. Obviously, I know Sysco sells so many things. I've used them many times. In fact, I could call my Sysco rep now and he could back me up. I use Sysco almost every day to order things like flour, sugar, eggs, takeout containers. You can order all the raw ingredients you need to make a cheesecake from Sysco. Or you could just order the cheesecake. And if your baker just quit because you weren't paying them enough, you're probably just going to end up ordering the cheesecake, and majority of your customers aren't going to be able to taste the difference. In fact, you can order the same cheesecakes that they sell at the Cheesecake Factory, right on Sysco. Maybe you really want to sell a frozen lava cake, but you don't know how to make it, or you don't know how to make it consistently. Some days it's nice and runny in the center, some days it's overcooked. Someone forgot to put the block of molten chocolate in the middle. Oh my god, you can't keep this consistent. If a chef or owner deems that it is cheaper to just buy the pre-made thing from Sysco rather than making it or hiring/training the staff to make it, they often will. That frozen lava cake you love, It arrived in a cardboard box in a pack of 24, and you can probably go pick them up at Restaurant Depot right now. That spinach dip, it came in a plastic tub. That fancy consomme, I was de-icing it in the back for 2 hours. The huge problem in the culinary industry that I've seen progressively get worse since I started 8 years ago is the lack of chefs willing to train people who have never cooked before. Someone who's never cooked before has no idea how to make a chocolate lava cake. And the chefs don't want to train people. It takes too much time. They're understaffed. They're stressed out. So what do? They order from Sysco. And what happens to you? Every time you want a chocolate lava cake, it's the exact same one. This phenomenon is especially prevalent with frozen appetizers. Mozzarella sticks, chicken wings, crab rangoons. And I'm not saying that they're bad. All those things I just listed happen to be my favorite foods. But I do know where they come from. A box. A bag in a box put in the deep fryer. And they're almost all the same. Where this can get a little tricky when determining whether or not this is frozen Sysco food is Sysco sells different brands of different frozen products. You can get different kinds of mozzarella sticks through Sysco. You can get different kinds of crab rangoons, so you might not be able to recognize it immediately. That's the trick. Sysco owns dozens of private label brands, so restaurants might think that they're buying from different companies, but it's all under the same umbrella. Oftentimes, restaurants will build around Sysco's catalog. They aren't really creating recipes, they're creating a playlist. It's all the pre-recorded hits that Sysco has ready for them. This is why you see the same appetizers, desserts, sandwiches everywhere you go. Sysco has it ready for them. This is the illusion of choice within the restaurant industry. You think you're choosing between an Irish pub and a local sports bar, but they are the exact same thing, with the nearly identical menu. Hey, it's not that the food is terrible. Sysco premium lines are engineered to be hyper-palatable. They all taste pretty good, and they appeal to the widest audience possible. But it lacks soul, and it lacks terroir, and it's not what you're paying for. So are we all doomed to eat paste from a tube in the future supplied by one big megacorp? Not necessarily. There's a massive counter-movement to farm-to-table luxury. Chefs are realizing the customers know this. The customers are getting savvy, and we all know what Sysco fries taste like. And many of us are willing to pay more for the real thing. Also, more and more people are being forced into the restaurant industry who necessarily didn't want to be there in the first place. Then they're realizing the industry's secrets and spilling our secrets. The pandemic also exposed a lot of cracks within this centralized model. When the big guys broke down, restaurants turned to local suppliers just to survive. During the pandemic, I worked at a small diner, and of course, we got things from Sysco that were frozen and pre-made, but during the pandemic, we couldn't necessarily get our normal order. So we had to turn to farms next door, people around us, and making a lot more things from scratch, which was fine because we didn't have that many customers, but chefs realized it was possible. Sysco and its competitors aren't evil companies. That's not what I'm here to say. I use Sysco every day, and I probably will for the remainder of my time in the culinary industry. Every single chef uses it. These companies are the inevitable result of a culture that wants a huge quality food instantly and cheaply, no matter the season, no matter the geography. A lot of these chefs turn to these companies because their customers demand it. They demand mozzarella sticks on the menu regardless of the fact that mozzarella sticks are actually kind of difficult to make consistently at a high quality without buying them pre-frozen. But the people want them, and so you're going to supply them. The people want this very specific Caesar dressing. But that Caesar dressing is expensive for you to make and it takes a lot of labor. So what are you going to do? You're going to buy it from the tub. The culture of customers has changed, especially since the pandemic. I have worked both front of house and back of house before and after the pandemic, and I can tell you customers now believe that everything in any restaurant should be catered exactly to them. No matter what time of year, no matter what the restaurant is, they should be able to get whatever they want whenever they want it. And so GMs and chefs come together and agree. Okay, we'll just have it on hand. We'll buy it from Sysco. We'll give the people what they want. Next time you're eating out, look a little closer at your plate and ask yourself, is this homemade or is this heated up? If you find yourself in a place that is truly cooking from scratch and doing the hard work, make sure you tip them and make sure you keep going back to that business and talk about it. Cherish it, support it, do whatever you can, because these businesses are struggling. Whether they seem like they are or they aren't, these businesses are struggling. The ones who do the work and the ones who do it correctly, the ones who pay their people right, and the ones who train their people to. In Kitchen Confidential's Ventures in the Culinary Underbelly, Anthony Bourdain exposes how much of the restaurant industry relies on pre-made and industrialized sources, rather than from-scratch cooking. Describing the early morning routine in a professional kitchen, he lists boiling the in-bag veggie burgers, pre-cooked bacon slices, and greasy meat pattings, and all that other crap that fills the walk-in before we can even start the real prep. Illustrating how even seemingly artisan kitchens depend on mass-produced items delivered from these food service distributors. recounts a cook injuring himself while trying to hack the, quote, frozen demi-glace out of a bucket. This is a vivid example about how fine dining establishments often lean on commercial-based sauces for efficiency and consistency. Together, these scenes reveal the industry's quiet dependence on the same large suppliers, companies like Cisco that stock countless restaurants across the country. Another point I want to make clear before I wrap up this video, I am not talking about big chain restaurants. I'm talking about Texas Roadhouse, I'm not talking about Chili's, I'm not talking about Applebee's or Red Lobster, whatever you're going to name in the comments. That's not what I'm talking about. Of course, these restaurants use factory food and they use mass-produced food that is sent to them. But each of these restaurants has their own private label. They are produced in a factory for them specifically. You can't just go buy a Chili's Triple Dipper. You can buy things that are very similar, produced by the same company, but you can't buy that one exactly because that one has been R&D'd for Chili's specifically and is being sent to Chili's. What I'm talking about is the restaurants that have a $30 burger on the menu, you're sitting on a metal chair with no backing, and someone's dad funded the entire restaurant. And they don't really know how to cook. They've never done it before. They just thought it would be cool to serve beer and burgers. And then they end up selling the exact same mozzarella sticks as everywhere else in the country. And how do you spot these restaurants? Make sure the menu isn't too large. Something like Cheesecake Factory, those things are frozen and shipped in because how on earth are they cooking that much food back there? Hello, I'm editing this video and I reached out to people who worked at these kinds of restaurants and I was wrong. The Cheesecake Factory does actually make all their food there. They train headline cooks and chefs to go train other cooks around the country to make their specific product, and they really do just have a lot of people that work there. It shouldn't work as a business model, but it does, so good for the Cheesecake Factory. Also, do they say on the menu who made it? Who's the butcher? Who's the grower? Who's the farmer? Who smoked this meat? Who made it? Restaurants like to advertise these things because they can charge a premium for it. I mean, why would you pay $5 for 3 slices of bacon if you didn't know it came from a local butcher who sourced the meat from a local farm who then smoked the meat in-house? Another comment I get frequently on this topic is all home-cooked food is grocery store food. Yes, Cisco does sell a lot of raw ingredients, which is what majority of chefs use Cisco for. That's not necessarily what I'm referencing. I'm referencing the industrialization of your food. There are also many other companies, Chef's Warehouse, Gordon Foods, Peddlers. A lot of them produce the same exact food as Cisco. Another way to tell if your food is from Cisco is to really taste it. Have you tasted this ranch before? A lot of sauces are pre-made. Ranch, marinara, barbecue, hot sauce. Another way to tell if your food is from Cisco or not is to really take a look at the menu. Do the desserts look familiar? Is it a chocolate lava cake and a raspberry cheesecake? That's boring. You can tell from that kind of menu that they don't have a pastry chef. And I feel like I need to provide an example just to make it extremely clear what I'm talking about. And I don't necessarily blame this business for doing what they are doing, but they are using mass-produced food. The thing that stood out to me was their pancakes and French toast, having particular toppings that I've seen on the Cisco catalog as pie filling. They offered a French toast and a pancake flight of things like apple, cherry, raspberry, and all these things I've seen before, that gelatinous, delicious goo atop a pancake. They also served us these cheesecake bites at the beginning of our meal, which I have gotten from Cisco as a sample. They tasted like fridge. It looks like something that would taste good, full of soul, and like a grandma was sitting back there making that pie filling. But once you taste it, you know it's just full of gooey corn syrup and artificial flavorings. If you taste that cheesecake, you know immediately it was factory produced. The way each one is exactly 1 inch by 1 inch. The way it tastes like nothing but fridge and sugar. These kinds of restaurants lack soul, even if they are popular on TikTok. And hey, maybe I'm just jealous because they have a successful restaurant and I don't. But I'd like to think I'd put a little bit more soul into my food. Also, if you've ever eaten scrambled eggs at a restaurant, you've definitely eaten liquid egg before. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Arabella. If you guys have a Cisco horror story from a restaurant that you've worked in, please let me know in the comments below. I want to hear all perspectives, front of house and back of house. Please don't forget to subscribe and follow me on other social platforms. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.